start with this. Well, it appears that Dina Thorsland has found herself a dance partner on the heels of that situation with Deborah Dionysius. Deborah, who was upset by young Sakao and was supposed to be a tune-up fight in preparation for this fight with Dina. That's supposed to be for the WBO bantamweight title.
It's 118 pounds.
Deborah lost that fight, and as a result of her losing that fight, she's not eligible to fight for the WBO title at 118 pounds. And as a result of that, instead of facing Deborah Dionysius, Dina Thorsland is going to face Mexico's own Noriega. Sports professional record, 27 wins, 4 losses with 2 draws. 2 of those 4 losses came at the hands of Jessica Neri Plata, the current reigning interim champion by way of the WBA in the light flyweight division. She lost one to Mariendo and another to Anaí Torres a couple of years ago. Currently, Jaceth Noriega is on a 10-fight winning streak. And she has seen action in the last 12 months. She fought 2 times last year. Once in February, then again in November. She has seen action in the last 12 months, unlike Deborah Dionysius, who ahead of that young Sakao fight had been out of action for over a year. Jaceth had 2 fights in 2020 against pedestrian-level competition, but better still, she did have fights. Thus, she has no ring rust she needs to shake off.
She's a higher-ranked opponent than Deborah Dionysius.
Jaceth Noriega is ranked number 8 in the world by way of BoxRec's divisional rank standings. So not only have they found a good substitute, it's a solid substitute to where Dina Thorsland's really going to have to earn that WBO bantamweight title. The fight itself is still set to go down in Dina Thorsland's neck of the woods, Denmark, Struer Park, Friday, June 25th. Don't kid yourself. Don't tell yourself that kind of stuff don't matter. It matters.
The promotion is behind Dina Thorsland.
Home field advantage is a thing, a real thing in organized sports, folks, especially in the sport of boxing, to where if the fight is close enough that it can swing either way, you can bet your bottom dollar they're going to swing it towards the hometown hero, the hometown fighter. In this situation, that's Dina Thorsland.
Credit to Jaceth for taking on this fight.
I mean no offense when I say that in order for Jaceth to win a points decision in this situation, she'd have to make it very decisive. It would have to be very obvious.
See what happened with Kurbanov and Beefy.
If the fight is tight, and in some instances, even if it isn't, the hometown fighter,
hometown hero,
gonna get preferential treatment. That's the way it is. I am glad that the Thorsland people were able to save the date. I am glad that the show is going on because the show must go on. I am glad that they have found Dina Thorsland a dance partner because Dina Thorsland could quickly become a major player at 118 pounds, a division that is fast heating up.
Shannon Courtenay just won the WBA.
Very soon, Dina Thorsland could end up winning the WBO, making her a part of that world title picture, that undisputed picture.
Keep your eyes peeled for this in June.
Now the news all the way from the land down under. It's official, folks. Tszyu versus Michael Zerafa is a done deal, set to go down July the 7th of this year, this summer.
I've been waiting for this fucking fight.
Very recently, on the heels of Tim's knockout win over Dennis Hogan, there was an interest expressed to bring a title fight, a world title fight to the land down under. Bring that kind of fight to the shores of Australia. And I told you guys, regardless of how much money Tim's people are willing to put up, that ain't gonna happen, man. That ain't gonna happen in the near future. That may not happen several fights down the line because as we speak, that division is in the process of being unified by Brian Castaño of Argentina and Jermel Charlo of America. Those are the 2 last men standing in the world title picture, and the winner between them will be this division's undisputed champion. That being said, I don't see either guy traveling to the land down under for a payday after the smoke settles with that fight.
Which is set to go down the same month as this fight.
The fight between Tim and Michael, that's going down July the 7th. The fight between Jermel and Brian, that's going down on July the 17th.
The reason I like this fight.
Tszyu, son of Kostya Tszyu, the very famous Kostya Tszyu. Tim exhibits a very high ceiling. I mean, he has the look of a guy who isn't just a domestic level success. He has the look of a guy who very well could go all the way. And I'm not talking about contender status. I'm talking about world championship level. That's the look of Tszyu. But he still has litmus tests that he needs to pass, you know? The The win over Jeff Horn in what was a very big fight in the land down under. The win over Jeff Horn, solid win. The win over Bowen Morgan, that's a keep busy fight.
What that was.
The win over Dennis Hogan. These are all the kind of wins that a fighter, given where Tim is in his career, these are all the kinds of victories and the kinds of fights that he's supposed to be having. And he looks the part in every single fight. This fight is a step up from those fights because Michael Zerafa, unlike Dennis Hogan, he's not coming off a loss. He's coming off a win. A first-round knockout of Anthony Mundine. A very passive Anthony Mundine, though all the same. Michael's not rebounding off a loss. He's coming off a win. Not coming off a loss. He's not coming off of a stint of inactivity. He's about as solid a guy as you could ask for in these circumstances because Michael don't lose to scrubs. Michael don't lose to nobodies. He's got 4 professional losses on his record. 1 to Jeff Horn, another to Kell Brock, another to Peter Quillen, and another to Arif Magomedov many, many years ago.
He's solid.
Michael's solid, man. 28 wins, 17 knockouts, 4 losses. Good dimensions for the junior middleweight division. He's not too big, he ain't too small.
He's solid.
And he's wanted this fight for a long time. On the face of it, I get the sense that Michael Zerafa might be able to make young Tim Tszyu work for it more than Jeff Horn did, more than Bowen Morgan did, more than Dennis Hogan did. That this is probably one of the more solid guys Tim Tszyu will have faced in his very young professional career, sporting 18 wins, no losses.
14 knockouts.
It's an excellent fucking fight, is what it is. Well, the undercard information, the undercard itself, it's not set yet. You wonder that perhaps a rematch between Shotgun Shannon O'Connell and Shernika Johnson can't be added to this card. We know that Shernika wants a rematch. We also know that Shotgun Shannon has her eyes on the other Shannon, all the way over there in the United Kingdom.
Shannon Courtenay.
Tell you the truth, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if that rematch between Shernika and Shannon were added to the undercard of Tszyu versus Zerafa.
Because I don't think Shannon O'Connell's getting that title shot straight away.
That being said, I wouldn't mind it at all if those two girls ran it back. I think that would be a great addition to this card for this fight, which I like very much, that if you can't have a world title fight,
Might as well get this guy out of the way.
you might as well shut him up, as he has no shortage of things to say. This is a very good domestic rivalry to where it won't just be firepower that Tim Tszyu will have to put on display in order to secure the victory. It's going to be his boxing acumen as well, because I view Michael Zerafa at this point in the juncture as a more solid guy than Jeff Horn was when Tim fought him. Definitely more solid than Bowen Morgan, and more solid even than Dennis Hogan was, because lest we forget, Dennis Hogan was coming off of consecutive losses, a year of inactivity, and he was stopped in his last fight before he fought Tim. So I get the sense that Michael Zerafa is approaching this fight in a better place than those fighters were ahead of their fight with Tim.
I think he'll be a little bit more solid than they were.
Really glad the Tim Tszyu people didn't miss a beat in scheduling this thing. They've kept Tim Tszyu busy even through COVID times. He fought 2 times last year.
This is going to be his second fight of this year.
And this is a winnable fight for Tim. I mean, I think Tim would be the logical choice, but it's having to work for it that's important. That Michael will offer up a little bit more resistance than the last 3 guys did. This is set to go down July the 7th. We'll talk more about the fight and get into a full fight breakdown as the fight date approaches. In other news, some very recent comments from Canelo Alvarez caught my attention per tweet from Michael Benson. I would love to fight in England. For me, it's a dream going to England and fighting in front of a lot of people from England. I have lots of fans from there, and I would love to be there.
I don't doubt that he does.
I don't doubt that he wants to. I don't doubt that Canelo Alvarez is willing to cross Atlantic waters to have a fight over there in the United Kingdom, though ultimately what would be required for such an endeavor is a worthy dance partner from the United Kingdom. And as it stands, Canelo Alvarez has already unseated Callum Smith. That would have been the ideal guy to fight over there in the United Kingdom. He's about to fight Billy Joe Saunders here in Texas.
Right.
So the question then becomes, okay, you want to fight in the United Kingdom, but fight who? Ahead of this Billy Joe Saunders fight, Canelo Alvarez has been doing the rounds. He answered some questions by way of the Last Stand podcast. In reference to a Caleb Plant fight, he said, that's what I want, all the titles. In reference to a Jermall Charlo fight, he said, yeah, why not? It's a good fight. In reference to a David Benavidez fight, he said, why not? Great fight. In reference to a Demetrius Andrade fight, however, he said, oh my goodness, he's fought nobody yet. I have other plans. And listen, I can only tell you now what I told you before. Given who Canelo Alvarez has been fighting, unbeaten champions, attempting to unify this division, I can't complain and I can't castigate him because Demetrius Andrade is just as good an opponent choice as Jermall Charlo, is just as good an opponent choice as David Benavidez, is just as good an opponent choice as Billy Joe Saunders. If for whatever reason Demetrius Andrade just doesn't stand out to Canelo, that's the way the cookie crumbles. I don't think that Jermall Charlo's quality of competition is head and shoulders above Demetrius Andrade's. Quite honestly, I think Demetrius just faced a more solid guy in Liam Williams than Jermall Charlo is about to face in Juan Montiel. I don't think there's that much between them, but for whatever reason, Canelo Alvarez just doesn't view Demetrius as a priority. For whatever reason, he's more open to a fight with Jermall, more open to a fight with David, and more open to a fight with Caleb then he's open to a fight with Demetrius.
I can't reconcile it.
I understand that Demetrius Andrade's resume, as far as two division champions go, I understand that his resume would appear thin to many, but the same can be said for Jermall Charlo. I don't know that I could accuse Canelo Alvarez of having an aversion to facing statuesque southpaws when he's about to fight one. He's about to fight one with a better resume than Demetrius Andrade. Billy Joe Saunders, who's been in there with David Lemieux, who's been in there with Chris Eubank Jr., who's been in there with Andy Lee. It's just one of those things to where he's not interested in Demetrius Andrade for whatever reason. But I wouldn't call it a duck. I wouldn't call it an outright duck because, you know what, the guys that he's been fighting and the guy he's about to fight, well, that would easily be the best win on Demetrius Andrade's resume.
It's not like he's fighting scrubs.
And it's not like he's overlooking Demetrius so that he can continue to fight scrubs. He took out one unbeaten champion in this division, and he's set to take out another.
For whatever reason, he's got no time for Demetrius.
Some more comments from Canelo Alvarez by way of a tweet from Michael Benson. Read, Canelo has stated that he intends to work with Eddie Hearn no matter what moving forwards, despite their current deal ending with the Billy Joe Saunders fight this weekend. He also said he's open to competing on a PBC platform for the right fights. This excerpt was by way of the Last Stand podcast. And you know, I maintain my original position. If Canelo Alvarez wins this weekend,
if he gets that third alphabet title,
I'm not sure that Caleb Plant fight follows thereafter. I feel like the PBC might fuck up that fight. I feel like that unless they can pin Canelo Alvarez down to a multi-fight or a multi-year deal, they are not going to sacrifice one of their unbeaten champions to Canelo Alvarez. They won't bend to his wishes.
I feel like before that happens, they'll sacrifice Caleb to David.
Because maybe they like David's chances against Canelo better than Caleb's. That if they can't pin down Canelo Alvarez to some kind of a deal, what they will then look to do is maybe make a Caleb Plant versus David Benavidez fight, because Caleb don't make his own decisions. Most of those PBC fighters don't make their own decisions, if not all of them.
They're not their own bosses.
They fight whoever the fuck their higher-ups tell them to fight. They fight whoever's put in front of them. But whoever's put in front of them, that's not their decision to make.
I'm trying to tell you.
We are getting a bit ahead of ourselves. Before it comes to any of that, Canelo Alvarez has to get through this weekend's fight with Billy Joe Saunders. And the question is, will he? I'm going to keep this as concise as possible. Billy Joe Saunders is a very good fighter. He's a good fighter. But Canelo Alvarez, he's a great fighter. And I think that Canelo Alvarez has an answer for any Billy Joe Saunders that shows up. Anything that Billy Joe Saunders brings. There are those people out there that think that Billy Joe Saunders, being the slightly taller fighter, being a southpaw, being tricksy and mobile, that'll give Canelo Alvarez problems. There are other people out there that think that all this stuff about the size of the ring has been a clever ruse from Billy Joe Saunders, that he wants the Canelo people to expect a back foot lateral movement fight, when in reality what he plans on doing is coming forward and pressing Canelo Alvarez. Fire with fire. In either of those scenarios, I don't see Billy Joe Saunders winning. I don't think he's the man for the job. I don't think he has the necessary physical attributes to win this fight. I think that for the first couple of rounds, in the first quarter of the match, and maybe into the second, you'll see the best of Billy Joe Saunders.
Yeah.
While his gas tank allows him.
Because Canelo's going to pressure him.
Because Canelo Alvarez is going to stalk him. He's going to walk him down. He's going to look to land body shots, to take the air out of those tires, because he's expecting Billy Joe Saunders to move around the ring. He's expecting him to move. And even if he doesn't, Billy Joe Saunders is not so strong a puncher that if he gets on the front foot it's something Canelo can't deal with. Canelo Alvarez dealt with a front foot Gennady Golovkin, who's a much stronger puncher than Billy Joe Saunders at any weight in their rematch, in their second fight. Never mind the first one. Pay attention to the second one. It was Canelo coming forward on Gennady Golovkin, looking to fight fire with fire in a Mexican brawl, which is what Gennady Golovkin asked for, and Canelo was able to dish it out as well as he could take it. Billy Joe Saunders, as a fighter,
At his best,
is a pure boxer with an affinity for counterpunching. What he's not is an artillery guy. What he's not is muscle. In the build-up of this fight, I saw a lot of guys bringing up the Erislandy Lara fight, the Floyd Mayweather Jr. fight, and the Austin Trout fight as fights where Canelo Alvarez was experiencing discomfort, was experiencing problems. And the whole time I'm thinking to myself, why the fuck are they bringing up fights from 7 and 8 years ago? You think that Canelo Alvarez is the same fighter that he was 7 and 8 years ago?
he's not.
He has improved since then. I think that he has hit his stride and entered into his physical prime, peak performance. The aesthetic of the match that I'm expecting tomorrow night is an aesthetic where Billy Joe Saunders is fighting off the back foot, is moving laterally, looking to keep Canelo Alvarez out of the pocket, outside of his sweet spot, which is mid-range to inside.
Right.
And I think that maybe Billy can do this in the first quarter of the fight, maybe the beginning of the second quarter, but it's going to catch up to him.
He'll tire.
I think Billy's going to blow a lot of steam trying to move around that ring.
For all 12 rounds.
Might have a decent start, but around the midway point of the match, he'll tire, he'll slow down, and that's when Canelo Alvarez will likely land the more telling shots, the more telling blows. I'll go as far as saying that I actually think Canelo's going to stop Billy Joe Saunders. He wanted to get under Canelo Alvarez's skin in the buildup of this match, and I think he's done that. But what he's essentially done is turn just another day at the office into a situation where he's still going to fight the same fight that he was already going to fight, but now you've given him a reason to hurt you. Talking all that shit, complaining, raising a stink about the ring at the last minute.
What he did was irritate him.
But I don't think it's affected his game plan all that much. I think Canelo Alvarez's game plan is to pressure Billy Joe Saunders, stay on top of him, stay with him, and pressure him. And I think Billy's plan is to use the ring to his advantage for as long as he can. Though I think with Canelo, he's going to face more pressure, far more pressure, than anything he's faced as a professional boxer.
And it'll work for a while.
It'll work until he gets tired, and it'll work until he gets stopped, because that's what I'm banking on.
Canelo by KO.